I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts peeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. And I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mr. Riley coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side, and hopefully, again, you're kind of staying dry. I know. It's not raining right now, but they still predict some more of these kind of crazy El Nino kind of situations here on the West Coast. But man, I am not ready to have this conversation. I would much rather prefer to have a conversation talking about our next opponent. However, it is what it is. Reality has set in, at least on my mind. I'm still trying to get over. But our wonderful Pali Dolphins were defeated last week against, we took defeat against Garfield, the Bulldogs over there, 21-42. And we tried to give it all that we could. However, our all wasn't good enough for what happened. So we're here to have this conversation with Coach Dylan Smith. So we'll welcome him in a few moments. But if you haven't done so already, just a quick announcement. Why don't you go ahead, right now, just hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell just so that you are informed about what is going on. And it's I think in my mind I have a couple more episodes for this season, and so including this one, at least 3 more episodes, and so we'll see how it goes. But other than that, I think I'm ready to have this conversation. Hopefully Coach is ready to have this conversation. So we're going to bring him in, and I believe he might even have a special guest. So if you hear a little roof noise, it's just him and his wonderful support animal just doing his thing. So let's go ahead and welcome Coach Smith to the show. Coach, what's going on, sir? How you feeling?
Good. How you doing?
I just figured that's who that was making all that noise over there on the floor. And now, am I correct in guessing correctly?
Yeah, he's waiting for me at the door for me to be over with so he can come wrestle with me.
Got you. Okay, so man's best friend is ready. So I'm ready, and we're gonna make this interview kind of quick and painless, Coach. So first of all, let's get into this. The pregame, man. Our boys played on Monday night.
I didn't see any games. I don't know what you're talking about. My team, My team has had a bye the last 6 weeks, probably 7 weeks. I don't, we ain't played since week 2.
I know, right, man. So I'm glad that at least a defensive side has been born with the addition of Quentin Williams and some of the other pieces, man. So I'm sorry that my team had to put it on you like that.
So the funny thing is, we were down only 14 points early in the fourth quarter. I thought we had a chance, and then that safety, I was like, well, that's it. Ain't no coming back
Yeah,
from that. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been bad football
No, it
here.
was. Yeah, I think that was one of the first, maybe the second game all season that I've kind of sat back and really relaxed. I didn't have any expectations other than I just wanted to see a good game, and of course, our boys came through. I wasn't worried about them scoring; they know how to score.
Hmm.
I was just
All
worried
right.
about that defense. So I was happy to see, and hopefully, we have some upcoming tests with Philadelphia and the Chiefs. So hopefully, the
Hmm.
Cowboys can put a string of wins together, and
All
we'll
right.
see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we
And
got
maybe your
Cleveland.
team.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Shador. I want him to do well, but his
yeah,
first start's against the Raiders, so I hope he
yeah,
waits a week and then does better. So I don't know what's gonna happen this Sunday.
yeah. I'm hoping that he got a lot of good reps this week. Seeing that he's been named the starter, and I know the story was that he hasn't taken a whole bunch of the starting reps, the starting five, first team reps, and so hopefully he can get in there and have a good week of practice. And I think a lot of us are rooting for Shador.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's
But
I think it's
apparently, he hasn't taken any first team reps the whole year, so this will be his first time, which is crazy. But like I said, you can root for him to do well, but then his team lose, so that's what I'm rooting for.
well, maybe it'll be a good game, and maybe the kicker can come in and maybe both teams have a good showing. And the thing about it, with Gino, I mean, he was doing his thing with Seattle, so I don't know why the whole situation why he's kind of falling off a little bit. Maybe it's the offensive you know program that they put in. Not too sure.
Yeah, we got a lot of problems we need to fix. So I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll see. We'll see this Sunday. Okay, Coach. Are we ready to have this kind of dive in and have this conversation about what happened with our team, man?
Yeah, so have to rip the band-aid off.
Let's let's rip it off. Okay, so we know based on what we talked about last week, the weather being a factor, and you went as far as to have practice, making sure there was moisture on the balls as you guys prepared. What felt different once the real game conditions kind of took over, as the beginning of the game started?
Well, we really couldn't simulate a consistent rain. We can wet the balls and play in mud all we wanted, but being on turf and then the rain being consistent, the ball keeps getting wet, so we couldn't really simulate that as much as we tried to. So it was kind of hard for Jack to grip the ball on some plays, and you know,
Mm,
it's- you never know from play to play if he was able to grip the ball or not. So his passes were a little inconsistent due to that. Um, but our defense, I felt, kept us in the game for a while, and besides the first play of their offensive drive, having that long run, the defense, stopped them for the most part. And then, when we scored, they answered. So, the second half was kind of hard trying to get back, and even later in the game, we were only down 14 points, and we were in the red. We were inside the 10 4 times and didn't score. So there's 28 points. We lose by 21. So you know, we can talk about the rain and being wet all we want. You getting the ball inside the 10 4 times and don't come up any points, you're gonna
yeah,
lose.
it's
You're
kind of
gonna lose the
heartbreaking.
game. So yeah, so that was the difference. I felt more than anything.
Yeah, from aside from the rain, because like I said, we both had to play in it, right? So um, Garfield started. started off early. They scored, like you said, on that long run. First, I think they have 14 and 15 points in the first half. What do you think contributed most to Garfield's fast start?
I think just Achilles heel all year tackling. We tackle high, and their jerseys are wet, so you tackle high. Now we're slipping off tackles, and a lot of our tackles were single man tackles. We weren't gang tackling as much as we should on each play, so they were able to break one tackle and get an open field. So especially when you load the box, once you break that first level, they're gone. We're not playing, two deep or quarters or three
Yeah,
deep. So once you break that first level, you got one man to beat and then you're gone. So that's kind of what happened,
yeah.
throughout the game.
Yeah, and here's something that's kind of interesting, and I'm sure I don't know if you know, but we kind of opened up the live stream to include the Garfield fans, and I was surprised because last week we talked about, I think his name was Reyes,
Mm.
number was it number 11? I'm not too sure right at this point, but it was someone other than number 4 who was just, man, he was just killing it on the field. I think he had 30 carries, according to Max Preps, 30 carries, 400 and 440 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it kind of goes to what you just said in terms of evaluating um, their defense, the defensive breakdown that it kind of led to such a dominant ground performance. And so, I didn't expect number 4. And in fact, the guy that we had talked about, I think his name was Cesar Reyes, number 11.
Yeah.
We had talked about him knowing that they run the ball a great deal. Cesar Reyes was, this was what I found astonishing. Cesar Reyes wasn't even in the building. He was at home watching on the live stream. And so
Right.
he gave props to number 4 and number 2, I believe, in terms of, he was just like, look, I'm not even the best player. Number 4 and number 2, those are
Two.
some
Yeah.
dudes. And so, for him, I think I can't remember his name, but number 4, he was just all over the place, man. And I know once he had that first one, I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of worried a little bit. But like you said, 15, 14 to 6 at the first half. If we would have had some more defensive stops and getting into the end zone, when we had the ball, when we had the opportunities, that was a big hurt for us. Not able to get those points. So I was kind of, I didn't know if you knew that, but I was just kind of, kind of astonished and shocked that number 1, he wasn't in the building, but number 2, this dude was able to put up as many yards and touchdowns as he was. Were you kind of shocked, or did you expect them to do what they did on the football field last Friday?
We knew number 5 Caesar wasn't going to play. We heard that he was hurt and wasn't going to be in the game. So, but we didn't look at that as like, oh, one of the best players is out. We got the game. We just prepared for the next man to step up, and just watching film, we knew all those guys could run the ball. We were more worried about the offensive line more than their running backs. So, we felt like if we can get past that aspect, we can tackle, we can be in the game. Like I said, I mean, it wasn't our defense that hurt us. Just my biggest takeaway is being inside the 10 4 times and not scoring. That's again, we lost by 21. We scored those 4 times. We win the game handily. So, and even other drives that we didn't get into inside the 10, we still had a chance to score. So they didn't stop us at all night. I don't think we punted one time. So they didn't stop us. We just kind of shot ourselves in the foot at times. And one drive we fumbled on the 1 yard line, and then the very next play we fumbled again, and we missed a
Going
read on a
backwards.
wide open. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then on the 4th down, we had a guy wide open in the end zone. We missed a read and made the wrong throw. So there's little stuff like that that took points off the board more than us not tackling or um, you know stopping the running back.
Yeah, that was one of the things that kind of stood out. The progression of plays that you just talked about. Being right there on the 1 or 2 yard line and not not moving forward, but just moving backwards. I'm like, come on, guys, we going in the wrong direction. We need to be
Right.
going forward and not backwards. And so that was kind of the tall tale for me in terms of just some of the things are not going right for us. And everything was clicking for them on the field. And so let's kind of talk a little bit about just being unable to kind of get in the groove. Yes, we know that the ball was slippery or whatnot. But only 137 yards passing. Jack was I think 7 out of 14 for 137. Um, was this more about the weather, the game plan, or the pressure from the defense?
I hate using excuses, but 100% the weather. If it doesn't rain, I believe in my heart we win that game. We had drops from a couple of receivers that don't normally happen. The ball slipping out of Jack's hands on the guys open down the field, and I thought we ran the ball really well, but in key moments where we had a guy in the back of the end zone wide open for a touchdown, and the ball slips out of Jack's hands trying to throw the ball. So like I said, I never make excuses. I hate making excuses, but I do believe if it doesn't rain, we score probably every possession and win that game and score at least 50 points.
Yeah. And even here's a funny thing. They were, some of the comments in the section, they were like, yeah, if, Cesar Reyes was playing, the point, or he would have a field day or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, well, we can always dwell in what ifs and whatnots or whatever. The point is, whoever's out here playing the game, we playing the game. But I did say, I did kind of, say in the beginning of the game, it's like, look, if this was just like, if we going back and forth, and the weather was, neutral, then we probably would, come out with a win just because of our ability to strike quick and strike fast. And we only needed a couple of defensive stops in the first place anyway. And so
Right.
we kind of found that in the second half. I know we were, the boys kept fighting despite losing. The players kept fighting and put up 15 points in the second half. What did you see from your team in terms of just the resilience that they showed on the football field this past Friday night?
The game is never over with our team. I know we've won every game, but we've been behind in other games, and they just always find a way to come back and play better as the game progresses. The coaches do a great job getting the team hyped up for the guys on the field. The defense really feeds off the energy of the sideline. So anytime the kids are involved in the game, really, screaming and yelling and getting them hyped up, the defense really steps up and makes big plays. And that's when they start gang tackling and make it, and intercepting the ball, getting turnovers. So, we have to keep, going into next year, we got to feed off of that and keep that going into next season. And, no matter what our defense looks like, if we can continue to feed off that energy, I think, we'll be better. Obviously, we're going to do things differently, but just keeping that energy up. But they always, stay in the moment, keeping the guys in the game as much as possible.
Yeah, and I happen to see, big shout out to, I believe this is Big Devron, and he says facts. And I think he said facts as relates to if there were, I can take the cold. I can deal with the cold, but the rain and being equal. And I think he was saying facts in terms of just having a different outcome if there was no moisture in the air. So I'm almost sure that's what he was saying facts to. And speaking of which, Devrod, he had a nice game. He was kind of running, a lot better in the rain. So, I don't know if that helped his game a little bit. But 123 yards. I forgot how many times he carried, but for me, and I even said this on the broadcast. For me, he was running like a Lindell White, and we were missing our Reggie Bush. With Harrison Carter being out and injured. So, he for me, I was just kind of surprised at him and the way he stepped up, and also Malachi. I like the way that he kind of came off the ball and came out the backfield. So, just comments about those two guys and just their interaction, or attempting to put the game on their backs and doing what they thought was necessary for the team.
Yeah, I mean, once we realized that it was going to rain, we had to put in more more run packages and just rely on Deveron. He's really our only running back healthy. We had to pull up some. We put up one JV running back, and then our backup to Deveron had a concussion, so he wasn't able to play. So Deveron was literally the only varsity running back that we had. So we had to figure something out. And I tell Malachi during the bye week, which was a good time because we had extra time to prepare. I said, your name's going to be out to be Harrison the next couple of weeks because we're going to need you for running back because he played a little bit. He's played it his whole life. He played a little bit on JV last year, so he was the next one that we felt comfortable putting that position. But we also didn't want to take away what he's been doing all year on the outside. So we mixed it around a lot, and we tried to give him a package where he could run outside, use his speed, and but not take away what we've done all year. But Deveron, I mean, I think that's his best game in the 2 years he's been on varsity. Obviously numbers wise it was with 120 something yards, 24 carries. So just really, just a step back. Just I'm proud of what Deveron's done, just because he's been patient. He's not a kid that will, be like, why am I not doing this? Why am I doing that? He stays humble. He's a kid you can put at center and he won't complain. He does what's best for the team. And I'm happy that he got his chance to really show what he can do in the playoff game. And I wish we would have won to be able to for him to do it another week. But for a kid that never complains, does what the team asks him to do. Nobody knew he played with a broken hand. He had 124 yards with a broken hand that he's had for the last couple of weeks. Never said anything. I mean, we do up downs, and this kid is doing up downs on his elbow and just never complained. Just
Wow.
so I'm just really happy for what he's contributed to this program and for him to have a breakout game, even though it was his last game. I can't say enough about that kid.
Yeah, shout out to Dev Rod, man. Shout out to Dev Rod. And I just saw it. He was just kind of running hard, not necessarily faster because he's not a fast back, but just trying to find the holes and get open and just get in there and do what he does. So let me ask you, what adjustments did you try to make at halftime with the score 15-6, and what prevented the team from kind of taking advantage of what you wanted to do at halftime, or did they take advantage?
I mean, honestly, we didn't change much. I mean, it was like I said, a tackle here or there. Their very first play of their offensive drive was a touchdown, 80-yard run. And then for the most part, I mean, we were stopping them. They didn't score much, and I feel like we were in the game. It was just the weather. We couldn't throw the ball. We had a big play at the end of the half with Damari catching that pass. So we felt like everything we were doing was working. We just obviously the weather prevented us from doing a few other things, but we were going to continue to run the ball. We were going to take chances down the field when Jack felt comfortable. He came to me and said, "No, I feel like I could throw this. Let's try it." So we tried it, and then defensively, we stayed with 5 linemen and we were able to gang tackle. And like I said, they weren't. My concern was them running, milking the clock, with 10-minute drives, like some teams have done to us all year. But for the most part, they were just breaking long runs, and we were holding them, the other part. So I feel like we just needed to make a play here and there, and we were fine. And we were only down, like I said, 2 scores early in the fourth quarter, so we felt like we were still in the game, the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that one pass that Garfield attempted, it was almost like a jump ball when he passed it. Like he threw up, he threw it up in the air, and DeMar Desern was there. Garfield's only pass of the night was intercepted by your defense. How do you assess the secondary's effort in a game where the run was pretty much the overwhelming focus?
Yeah, it's hard because they're not used to having to be outside contained players, and that's what they were on Friday. So
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you can do so much in practice, but until you get into a game with a team that's running the same offense, for 10 weeks straight, it's kind of hard to simulate that. So, there were some times where they weren't as aggressive. We tried to put in guys and tell them, we got to be aggressive on this. Even though you've been covering the pass all year, now it's time to be a defensive end. It's kind of hard to just flip that switch. But
Yeah.
I thought for the most part when we were in their ear telling them to do it, they figured it out. I feel like they figured it out late, maybe a little too late. But like I said, when you're a corner playing outside in coverage and then asked to be a D end against a running team, it's very difficult. So just happy the way they fought and competed.
Yeah, tell us a little bit because it was near the end of the fourth quarter, maybe midway, and I thought I saw number 7 on defense. Kind of tell me about putting Jack in on defense. Just what kind of impact did we think that he was going to make as being a defensive player?
Well, he's been asking us for since week 4. I think the El Camino game to play defense. So he's been in the coach's ear. The coach loves ear since the El Camino game to play my defense, and
Yeah,
obviously he's a big asset to our team. So we didn't want to risk
absolutely.
anything like that.
Yeah,
And he came up to me last week and said, then he finally came up to me. He didn't come up to me all year. And he came up to me and said, "Coach, can I play defense?" I said, if we get into the championship game, I'll think about it. And, he's like, well, I'm aggressive, I'll play hard, whatever. So at this point, we were, losing 14 points. I said, go ahead and try it. It's your senior year,
yeah.
um, at this point. If you do get hurt, it doesn't, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
I let him go
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, no, having him during the season probably wouldn't have been a good idea. Only because he's a major contributor. I mean, he had some wonderful yards. I think 3,300, at least 33 or 3,200 passing yards, and so just he's impactful on the offense, and so I can understand not wanting to play him on defense during the bulk of the season. And so I'm glad that he did have a chance to kind of live out a dream, and still it wasn't the uh, the way he wanted to go out, but at least he had an opportunity. And interesting fact, I've seen some of the other QBs during the season um, play on both sides of the ball. In fact, I think even number 4, I saw him on a couple of plays on defense for Garfield. I think because they're not doing double numbers in high school, so I
Well,
think I
well,
did.
their starting quarterback got hurt the first game of the season, I believe. So that's
Okay.
so their quarterback is pretty much their wildcat quarterback
Mm,
or running back. So they kind of converted, you know, those guys to quarterback. So that's
yeah,
that's the difference. It'd be like Harrison playing both ways, or Malachi
absolutely,
or Deveron, something like that. So
absolutely.
a lot of quarterbacks did not play both ways. I didn't see Hamilton's quarterback both ways.
Yeah,
Dennis's quarterback, I don't think played both ways. Quarterback's a precious position, and
absolutely.
you lose a quarterback. Not to say that our backups can't do it, but
Yeah.
you know, our team is used to one guy, and it's a big loss.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, just a few more questions, Coach. So my next question was, I know that the boys were really, really emotionally spent. Probably, I mean, because of the rain and the way the loss kind of took place. Um, what did you? How did you address the team once you guys you got in the locker room? You didn't. Uh, this past Friday, you didn't normally stay, or you didn't stay on the field like you normally do. You just took the boys straight, and it was kind of like an extended amount of time that you spent with the boys in the locker room. What did you say to those, to the boys? I know they were sad and frustrated, angry. Maybe some were shedding a couple of tears. But what did you say in that moment to kind of uplift their spirits and, just try to console them after such, a devastating loss on Friday?
I just told them how proud I was of them and, what they've been through in those last 11 months. I respect every single one of them. Some of them could have transferred to another school, like, not play football, whatever, and they decided to stay with Pali. And I said, no matter what they do in life, they're going to be winners because of what they've gone through. And, I just found out the other day, this is only the second undefeated team in the history of the school. And for them to have that with what they've been through, there's nothing that comes in life, good or bad, that they can't overcome or accomplish. So, like I said, I just told them how proud I was, how much I respected them, and obviously I wish things could have been different. But um, you know, they 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 earned what they got this year, and you know, no other team in the country went through what we went through, and for them to be undefeated, I mean, that's an accomplishment in itself. So, um, I was, fighting through tears trying to talk as well. So I don't know if they heard everything I tried to say, but just even though we lost, they should walk out with their heads up.
Yeah, no, it was almost kind of teary eyed, little raindrop try to get into the eyes and trickle down because when you've been in like a person like me when you've been affiliated with the program for so long and you see a lot of these boys come and go, and you see the ups and the downs and the whatever, and it's just like, man, we 10-0, you go into the playoffs and then you lose right away, and it's just like, man, what if? You know what I mean? And so, let me ask you this question: what do you think it's going to take for Pally to kind of get over that hump? A couple of years ago, again, we went to the championship. Or that was just last year, right? Last year went to the
Yeah.
championship, and this is your third year. So the first year we went out against Gardena, right? I believe it was the first round. Last year we make it all the way to the chip. We lost to King Drew, who did what they did, and then this year first round of the playoffs, man, just being exited. I'm gonna say because of the rain. A little asterisk right next to it. Uh, the rain. What do you think is going to take for Pally to kind of get over that hump? Do you think you need to play more? Um, uh, Better teams in the preseason before we start league play? Do you think it's just the technical thing in terms of being able to tackle when you're playing the game? What do you think is going to take for Pally to kind of make that real championship move so that we can win a state or city championship and then have an opportunity to play for a state title?
Well, first, I don't want to. Garfield playing a great game, so I don't want to take anything away from them. So that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
That
Shout out to
I
Garfield.
do,
Shout out.
yeah. No, I do believe if the weather was different, we would have won. But they both play. They play in the weather as well, so I don't want to take anything away from them. But I think for next year, the key is going to be off season, and I think that's been the key. That was the key last year, obviously, because we didn't have an off season weight program. Um, but I think consistency is going to be the key. You know, we don't we don't get we don't get the consistency of kids showing up during off season as much as we should. Not to say they don't take it seriously, and obviously the kids in other sports, obviously I encourage that as much as possible. But I think
Hmm.
if our chemistry is there in the very beginning, we're not playing catch up later on in the season with the chemistry. And I challenged the younger kids after our meeting on Monday when the seniors left. I said we have to be consistent during all season. We're a year behind. We didn't get to lift. That has to be our number one priority is the off season and being consistent. They're gonna have time off. They're gonna be rested, but when they're supposed to be there, they need to be there. Year round. It's not football's not just a fall sport anymore. It's a year round sport, and Other schools, I believe, take that philosophy into the season. I'll go back to one of our 7-on-7 lineman competitions, and actually it was against Garfield. Garfield had 20 linemen at at the lineman competition. We have 4 linemen there, and
Wow.
as you can see, we obviously wouldn't expect to play Garfield in the playoffs, but
Yeah.
when you have 20 linemen together during the off season,
It
their
says
chemistry
something.
is
It's
a
a
lot
statement.
better because
Yeah.
it's a statement, and I think that's what we have to do year in and year out. We can't just show up in July and expect to be prepared for November. We have to show up in January and be there and prepare for November. It's a year round thing now, so I think that's the biggest thing I can say is just that we gotta take it seriously year round and not just in the fall.
Yeah, a friend of mine, I was either doing a podcast with a friend who's a high school football coach. Shout out to Coach Sean over at Verdugo, one of my elementary friends. And we were just talking, and he was just like, "Look, you got kids in the neighborhood who want to play, but then we were also talking about, because he's out there near Sierra Canyon, and we're just kind of dialoguing about those guys, and then guys who want to they right there in the hood want to play football, and he was just like, look, either you're gonna have football players or you're gonna have guys who just want to play football, and
Yep,
so it's a difference, and you know
exactly.
to your point about 20 linemen at a 7-on-7, those
Right,
are football players, right?
right.
They understand the assignment. And so once you move in that direction, you have 20, it's the little things. Not to say, or also to add that, I think the average, their average weight for their offensive line, I think was over like 200 pounds. So you got
Mhm.
guys, over 200 in the two teams, 215, 210. And then you got some cats who are probably under, 198, 189. So you got a good average. And so that's, to your point, it starts in the off season. And so you either got
Mhm.
to be, either you're going to be, and it's that mindset, you're going to be a football player or you just want to be a guy who wants to play football. And that's cool. You can have guys who want to play football, but you got to have that championship attitude as well.
Right,
So
exactly.
there's that. There's that. Last question, Coach. What is your takeaway from the season? I know we've had numerous contributions, especially from the professional teams. So shout out. Let me go ahead and just hit the air horn. Shout out to the Rams. They had a representative there to throw the do the coin toss, and then also shout out to the Chargers. Man, we appreciate y'all, and I'm sure you do as well, Coach. But what was one of your takeaways of the season? If you just had to reflect on either one glaring moment or the season as a whole, what is something that you kind of took away that you're going to use to kind of help motivate yourself going into the off season and into summer conditioning and beyond?
And that's like asking what's my favorite moment of every year I've lived. I mean, honestly, it's so many things. I mean, literally each month I can find something. From like I said, the Chargers stepping up, the Rams stepping up, practicing at SoFi, having a weight um, workout with the Chargers. Man, practicing at UCLA, practicing at Santa Monica College, practicing at the beach, not having a field,
You,
switching field. I mean, there's so many things I can look at and say this is a defining moment or this is a highlight of the season. But it was such a roller coaster, and there was never a part of the roller coaster where it just went in a straight line. Everything was just like this each week. But um, I guess that's the one thing I can say is just how much of a roller coaster it was. But you know, no matter where we were on the roller coaster, everybody was with us. So from parents, support staff, QB club, school administration, you, photographers, again, Chargers, Rams, um, everybody that was, NFL Network. I mean, everybody that was looking at our story and rooting us on. They were with us through that roller coaster. So I guess that's the biggest thing I can say. And just want to thank everybody for being on this ride with us this year.
Absolutely. And you know what? The story is it might be finished for this season, but I bet you there's still folks wondering what's going to happen next year, right? Because that's part two of the story. We're playing off campus, and I know there's plans to move back on campus. And once you're back on campus, you'll have access pretty much to some of the things that a regular or normal football program has access to. So this is only part one. We got part two, and I'm so those camera crews who were probably out there in the rain with us getting wet. They'll probably be back again at some point next year. Just to follow up. So, Coach, you did a wonderful, amazing job with all the resources that you had. You and your coaching staff, you guys did an amazing job with the boys. Yes, we lost in the first round, but it's still something to hold your head up high, and we just got to get better and better. And I'm hoping the boys will stay around and not move around. And it would be great to have some other guys come in from different places who can add and have an immediate impact on our football program. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So it's that's just part one of the story. I'm sure we're gonna have a chapter two at some point. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, and Sean, he said it in the locker room. He said the story's not over, and you know, we still got when we go back to campus for our first game, that's another story. And the first day we're back practicing on our campus would be another story. So it's true. The story is not over with, and hopefully if we get back to the championship after all this, it'd be a great ending to the it's a 2 year story and not just a 1 year story. So I don't want people to forget about us. There's still a lot of rebuild to go. We're just halfway there right now, and hopefully we can make everybody proud next year as we hopefully did this year.
Absolutely. So what I want to do, and I think I kind of talked to it pre show. I would love to have a players live stream. So maybe we can kind of connect, think of some players, and really make a super dope effort to get them on. Just the players on, and then we'll come back on and finish up our season. We'll have 13 episodes. This is episode 11. We'll come back and you can kind of give a preview of some of the expectations of the program going forward. What is the winter workouts or the spring football class, what that's going to look like, and then some of the upcoming plans. Hopefully, as we move closer and closer to moving back on campus, maybe you can get us some dates or just kind of a plan, to see what will happen and like a timeline of when things will happen on campus. So let's plan for that. Let's get I'll send you some names of some folks, and if you guys are watching or if you're going to watch this episode, do us a favor. Drop some names of some of the players you think we should have on the show, who can make, we always love the seniors, players who've had an impact on the field. And, let's do that, Coach. Let's, come up with a few names and get these guys on and kind of talk about their experience being Pali football players this season. And then we'll have you come up and, close us out with episode 13. And also, it would be great to get some of the coaches on too. So, if we could parlay players, if we could parlay some other coaches, and then have you come up in, so maybe 13 or 14 episodes. What you think?
We also have, we have awards coming up as well. So, want to give out, shout out, all the kids that win awards from our banquet and.
Absolutely.
All city and all league. So that's coming up soon as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, that'll be a great if we could figure out who got all league, and I know we got our photographer. They were putting out some stuff. Shout shout out to the social media, man. They do they doing it. They did their thing this year, man. You got the photographer and Instagram, and man, they just shout out to everybody. QB Club, y'all get an air horn too. You get an air horn. Everybody get an air horn. And then last but not least, and I want you to give me some details. Shout out to the Pali QB Club. I know you mentioned them earlier. Shout out to those folks because they make some things happen as well. Can you, as we close up the show, Coach, can you give us some details in terms of the location? Because we would normally have it on campus, but we can't have it on campus. So, do you know the date and the location for the end of the year Pali football banquet?
I do. I know it's December 14th.
Okay.
The location, the name of the place is slipping my mind right now, so I apologize.
Okay.
But I will have it by our next show, I promise.
Okay.
And I'm going to get in
let me
trouble
see.
for not knowing where it is.
I know, right? Let me see if because I know there might be a post on the social. So let me see if the Riley Wi-Fi is working properly. And see, it says something went wrong. Gosh darn it! But I do remember a post saying, "Hey, I don't know if it was an email or an actual Instagram post, but if you're a Pali supporter, a parent, coach, I'm sure you're going to be at the end of the year banquet, and so that'll be cool. And I'm sure the information will be sent out because parents definitely and caregivers, family members, like to show up at these things as well. So just stay tuned. Ask your favorite Pali football player, and they should know the date and the time and the location for our wonderful football banquet. Coach, you still trying to figure out where it is? Oh, okay.
It is. It's called Above the Block. It's on Sunday, December 14th at Above the Block.
Above the block. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. See? I knew we could find out. I was holding out, man. I was like, I see Coach over there. He's intentional in looking at it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's what's up. So December 14th, you guys, if you're a Pali parent, a current coach, current player, go ahead and I'm sure everything will be sent out so that you can participate in that wonderful, wonderful end of the year football banquet like we normally do.
Actually, tonight is actually the last night to RSVP. Just because we're at this location, we have limited seating, but we obviously want to open it up just for the players and their guests. But we have to get the RSVP to them as soon as possible. So tonight it's been opened up to the players. So please, if you're listening, tonight is the last night to sign up and RSVP. So please do so if you haven't done so.
Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. See, look, I need to see if I can get in. Sir, you gonna let your dad come as your special guest? Let me see if I can coax him into inviting me to the banquet. All right, Coach. I appreciate you, man. Do me a favor. Just hang out in the green room, and I'm gonna close up the show, man. I appreciate you hopping on. Any last words that you want to say as it relates to what a wonderful ride it's been. The scene is yours. Go ahead.
I'll save that till the last show.
Okay.
I do have a lot. There's a lot of thank yous, so
Okay.
I want to make sure I get everybody in and however much time I get. But I want to say that to the last show.
Absolutely.
But thanks.
Okay.
But thanks. Obviously, thank you for everything. In the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, this stuff is fun. I love doing this, and especially, I'm glad I didn't have to travel to the studio. I'm here in my son's bedroom. Here, I got my lights and camera set up. So, because it's cold outside, so I didn't want to have to travel. Appreciate you hopping on.
No problem.
And let me close up the show. All right.
All right.
Hey, everyone. So there we go. There we go. We got Coach Smith on here doing his thing. Man, just such a wonderful season. As he said, it's been ups and downs, roller coasters, a lot of movement back and forth from here to there, everywhere. UCLA, SoFi, Palms, the beach, the park. I mean, you name it. the football team was probably there. So shout out to Coach and just what he's endeavoring to do in making a huge impact on the boys athletically, football-wise, and also hoping to build up their character in terms of what and how they can flip the switch and use this in everyday life. So shout out to him and his coaching staff and everyone affiliated with the Pali football program. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, why don't you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified anytime we drop a brand new video. And hopefully we can have a players live stream. Maybe we get a couple of coaches, and then we'll close up our season 2025 with Coach Donald Smith, just giving some expressions of gratitude for everything that is taking place this whole football season. Other than that, I am Mr. Riley, and I'm coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Thanks for watching. Stay dry, and we'll catch you in the next video.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing.